Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg. Welcome back to Hanging with Mangg. We're playing some Demon's Souls remake. Yes. Yeah, last week I was playing Bloodborne. Because I was only a couple parts into my Demon's Souls Let's Play. But I finished recording that whole playthrough, just waiting to upload it all. Started a second playthrough. Decently far along in this one. Doing some magic stuff. Very good game. I've also been playing Spider-Man Miles Morales, which for whatever reason I thought was a PS5 exclusive, but it's not, I guess. But it's very nice on the PS5. Very fun so far. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not like a Spider-Man aficionado or connoisseur or whatever. So the only thing I really know Miles Morales, from was Into the Spider-Verse. So I don't know. It's pretty cool. He's good. He's a good character. It's got a good story so far. I'm liking that. But most of my time is just spent on this. And yeah, that's pretty much that. So I guess we'll just get right into some stuff. This week on this channel we had Demon's Souls remake, Final Fantasy XIV, and some more Skyrim stuff. And that's all going to continue into this next week. There are a total of 11 parts in the Demon's Souls playthrough. I have 3 more Skyrim videos to upload, so that will likely finish this week. And the next big game on the horizon is, of course, Cyberpunk. Which seems like it's actually going to release. Gonna happen. So we'll be playing it. We'll be doing a playthrough of it. December 10th. So, as always, I don't know the specific timing. I mean, you never know the exact schedule of video releases. But you say 2 to 3 videos a week. I have 7 Demon's Souls videos left. 2.5 weeks, give or take. So things should line up decently for Demon's Souls into Cyberpunk. And then once Skyrim finishes, it'll just be into Dragon Quest V. And I think that's just the plan. That is the plan. Utter Cyberpunk, all the Twitter hoo-has go crazy. Well, I don't look at all that stuff. I just want it to be a good video game. Hopefully it's a good video game. If not, I don't think I'd go crazy. I guess I'd be disappointed because I prefer every video game to be good. But you know how it is. Yeah, aside from Cyberpunk, I don't know, are there any other big releases towards the end of the year? I don't think so. But I did say I want to do the Doom Eternal DLC. So I might put off Dragon Quest even more to do the Doom Eternal DLC, because I know people would rather watch that. I know how it is. Well, let's be honest. Doom Eternal DLC is likely to be far more entertaining and exciting than Dragon Quest V. Dragon Quest V has its moments, but come on. I didn't hear like a single thing about the Doom Eternal DLC. I didn't even know it was out until I just saw something about it the other day that mentioned it, but I don't even know if it's good. I assume it's good. I assume it's just more Doom Eternal, which is good. So, yeah, we'll probably do that. Because I think we will have a dry spell where Dragon Quest can flourish. And it's so rare that I'm actually even interested enough to do a DLC or play a DLC, let alone do a playthrough of it. So it's kind of a special occasion. That hit him. Weird hitbox. DLC was good. All right. That's all the confirmation I need. But I really love Doom Eternal. I liked it more than the first game, which I don't know if that's a controversial opinion, but it's not one held by everyone. I just really liked the dash move. So that's good. Well, I guess we'll do that. That won't start till next week, the following week, but we'll do it. We'll do it. Okay. Fucking hyper armor. God. What is happening with my controller? Okay, alright. Regain our bearings. Alright. Anyway, so that's what's happening. I don't think Gloomhaven is happening tomorrow. We just got back from our big non-stop gaming trip for 3 days. So I don't, we need a little bit of a break there. Two Brothers Play, I believe, is going to happen in like an hour or something. Sometime today. We're going to try to squeeze that in. And then Variety Stream, I don't know. We'll find something. Unless anyone has any suggestions. Otherwise, it's just me taking a look at Steam, seeing what's cool. Could do Bug Snacks on PS5. I watched the Donkey video on it. I still have no idea what the game is about. It seemed like he was kind of shitting on it, but I'm not sure. Prefer Doom's atmosphere or Doom Eternal's gameplay better? I can definitely see that argument, yes. I think Doom Eternal did go a little... They leaned a little into their, like... this sort of internet reputation that they've built. Just, like... irreverency and, you know, things like that. Whereas Doom was a little bit... you know, more serious. And, you know, especially, like, fucking... the fact they included the Coronet, like, reference in the Doom Eternal DLC, which they had to remove, apparently. But the fact they put that in at all is, like, wow, you know, finger on the pulse of the internet. Haven't played a Doom game. Here they're good stress relievers. Yeah, I think that could be true if you play on, like, the lowest difficulty and you just, like, running around and blowing shit up, slaughtering demons. On higher difficulties, I think they're pretty stressful. So you get the best of both worlds. Funny, on my vacation at this cabin at a resort, we had a room with a projector. Where I brought my PS5 and I hooked it up there, and later at night and stuff like that, I played a little Demon's Souls here and there. And this was not a good projector. And it did not have any sort of game mode or anything like that. It was pretty atrocious. And so I tried to do this section of this level, like, 7 times, and I died every single time. And it was so infuriating. And I thought it was just, like, because I was over caffeinated or tired, I don't know what, but pretty sure it was just shitty projector. Bug Snacks, surprisingly fun. All right, let's do that Wednesday. Let's check it out. I've not touched it. Because aside from the Donkey video, I think I did hear some good things about it as, like, for a launch title, showing off the controller and things like that. So we'll give it a go. That way I don't have to buy any other games on Steam. Over on the Exploring series, I released a video on SCP-4051. Friendly Neighborhood Keter. Which got really an absurd number of views. It broke my record. The amount of views for a video in the first 24 hours. It, like, shattered it pretty damn good. Got like 140,000 views in the first 24 hours. And I attribute that largely to just the thumbnail. You know, I really make an effort not to ever do, like, any sort of clickbait thumbnail stuff where it's text or, you know, my face with my mouth open and just, oh, you know, whatever. I just try to pick a good, interesting, relevant thumbnail, and it's worked out so far. And I really wasn't sure what image to use for that SCP because, well, I mean, I would like a nice piece of artwork of like a young kid opening a fucking portal or something, pulling something out, but that's highly specific, you know. I'm not gonna get that. So I was like, okay, I just want sort of a young superhero sort of image. And that brought me to that concept art from like an Akira remake or something like that. Akira. And I had actually used the image before in the Apotheosis videos. And I was like, okay, this is sort of good. It's clearly a young person. And they're facing off against this crazy, like, Apache helicopter. I mean, it's like they're superpower. They've got the cape. This can work. And I've used it before, and I don't remember seeing that many comments that the fact that it was, like, based on Akira. But I know from past experience that people really laser in if it's a thumbnail that is of an image that they are familiar with from something else. People fucking hate that. And they will relentlessly call me out on it. Because there is a decent percentage of viewers that if they have not seen the image before, they assume that it's directly related to the SCP. Like it was created based on the SCP or for the SCP specifically. Where in reality, it's a very small percentage of the art that I use that is directly inspired or created for the SCP. It's a very small percentage. And that's why if you watch reading videos, like, well, SCP Illustrated, you know, creates all his own shit specifically for it. So that's whatever. But like Volgan or Eastside Steve, you know, other smaller reading channels, they'll often only use like one image for their entire video. Even if it's like 30 minutes long, they'll use one image because that's the one image that was created for the SCP. Generally, that's like the image that's on the document itself. And oftentimes, they'll just like download the image from the SCP wiki where it's in like really low resolution, and then they'll just blow it up to like 1080p. And then that's the one image. And so, I don't know if people just are familiar with that sort of concept. And they think that, okay, every image in an SCP video has to be, you know, it's from the SCP itself. But if I did it that way, there would be one or two images throughout my whole videos. And that would be accurate, but it wouldn't be the most interesting video. And so, it's honestly one of the most time-consuming portions of my job is to find all of the imagery, to find all this imagery that I feel connects to the theme or concepts that I'm talking about specifically. It's very time-consuming, and I'm very meticulous, and very picky. I think overall, people do appreciate that pickiness and that meticulousness. But I never really come out and like have a disclaimer that says, hey, this is not from the SCP document. This is just inspired by, blah, you know, things like that. But usually people don't care that much unless they recognize the image. And then this just like triggers them. I've had in the past, anytime I use like Magic the Gathering card artwork, that triggers a lot of people. The SCP-610 video where I used Fallout 4 Centaur concept art in the thumbnail, that triggers people. Oh, fuck. And for this one, it was the Akira. There you go. The concept art for that. And like I said, I used it before in Apotheosis videos, but this one, it was just the thumbnail, and that, you know, gets the most eyeballs. People see it in the thumbnail, they click on it because of the thumbnail. Like, I read, this isn't an SCP. This is Akira. What? Even though 10 seconds into the video, I'm like, yes, I am well aware of where this image is from. You know, I really try to make sure I understand the source, you know, of all these images. So I know that it's a Fallout 4 concept art. I know it's Magic the Gathering art. I know it's from World of whatever, you know. But even though I put that, so many of the comments on that video, I think some of them were jokes, but you know, that's part of the reason why I don't read many YouTube comments. It's just on the dashboard for YouTube Studio, they show you like the 3 most recent comments. So anytime I look at my YouTube Studio page, I just get like a little snapshot of what people are discussing. And I saw a lot of discussion about that. It's it's not a big deal. And I guess ultimately it helped me if they did click on it because they recognized the thumbnail and commented, you know, that helps. So, whatever. Anyways, people did seem to like the video regardless. God. Are you kidding me? Oh my god. I hate this dude so much. So the video that I'll be releasing tomorrow is a bit of a special one. This was a Patreon goal that was fulfilled quite a while ago. Or that was reached quite a while ago, and now I'm finally fulfilling the goal. And that is a video about a handful of JSCPs, or joke SCPs. SCPs that are not on the main list and have been created specifically for the purpose of humor. It's a section that I almost entirely avoid. Like, the only JSCP that I really knew of and was like, all right, that's decent, was the Procrastination Rock, which is the highest rated J. But humor is just... Humor is just a very subjective thing, and I really never like anything that mingles or subverts a serious topic and makes it into something humorous like that. Something like horror comedies, stuff like that. Like, I have no interest in that. God damn it. These things are literally the most challenging part of this entire game for me. Oh my god. If you could just block it, that would be awesome. But it's literally unblocked. Alright, good. Get fucked. Oh my god. So whatever. It's not my bag, but a lot of people like joke SCPs, and I knew that if I had it as a Patreon goal. People would like it, people would enjoy it, and that's good. You know, anytime you can put out something people enjoy, it's good. So, you know, the trickiest part was sort of picking which JSCPs I should put in the video. Because it was like, I don't know which of these is supposed to be funny. You know, like, one of the top rated ones, I won't say which one, one of the top ones was like, I read it and I'm like, okay, if you had told me this had like 30 upvotes, you know, this had a rating of 30, I wouldn't be surprised. Why is this so highly rated? I don't get it. And I just don't get maybe I'm too old, or I have too dry of a sense of humor. I don't know. I just did not. So it was tricky because it was like, I want to put in the funniest ones, the ones that have the highest degree of humor. But again, it's subjective, so I don't know if I exclude this one, people are going to be pissed because this is like the funniest one. Whereas if I just try and like search for something that I find funny, it's, you know, we'll be here all day and I'll just handpick a small amount, and people will be like, why the hell did you pick these? These aren't the funny ones. That's how you beat man-eaters, by the way. It's black humor. I mean, it's just sort of how it's presented, I guess. Like, you know, things like the things that Dr. Bright is not allowed to do at the Foundation. I don't like any of that crap. You know, I don't find any of that funny. It's fine if you do, but it's just, that's not my bag. Whereas, like, you know, sort of dark, gallows kind of humor, if it's delivered in a real dry way, sure, I'll definitely find fun. But, you know, I find that a lot of the SCP joke stuff is really just kind of meme-ish, you know. It's not like I don't like comedy, but, you know, I like stand-up comedy, but I don't like, I don't know, The Hangover or something like that. To me, SCP is just horror or sci-fi or dark fantasy, things like that, and I just have no interest in introducing humor to it. You know, same thing with Cthulhu Mythos. A lot of people have went to great efforts to make all sorts of Cthulhu parodies and humorous things about it, and it's just meh. And yes, I say it, yes. Okay, thank you. Thank you for bringing up the Teletubbies thing. Thank you. Thank you. All right. That's sort of what I'm trying to say. That's trying to, okay. It's not that you can't take something serious and make it comedic. And you know, and if you do that, I automatically hate it. It's really in the manner of which you do it. That's what I'm trying to say. I have a very dry sense of humor. And SCP stuff is really meme-ish. You know, the Dr. Bright stuff and a lot of things like that. There are probably a good number of JSCPs that are sort of dry. And I did find a couple JSCPs that I did like. And the reason why I did the Teletubbies thing, and why I still think it's funny to me, is because of how dry I presented it. Again, humor is subjective. It's very tricky. And I can't really fully explain myself, I suppose. All I can really tell you is that, you know, I read a bunch of JSCPs. Most of them I did not care for. And I was surprised at how highly rated some of them were, considering how just memey and over the top they were. Whereas, like, if I was 14 or 15, I probably would have found them hilarious. But, you know, your humor sort of changes as you grow older. Alright, great. Anyway, so the joke SCP, I did find a couple that I liked, and I went with, you know, overall I went with a lot of the highly rated stuff. Just because I feel like, okay, I need to include these things. This is like, apparently this is the overall community voted cream of the crop. And it's not my place to really judge. That's not what I do. I'm not going to go through this insane effort to curate my own personal list of JSCPs, because that just leads to more trouble than it's worth. But in the course of it, I did find a couple that I was like, this is amusing. I actually like this. I liked reading this. Which surprised me. Honestly, I didn't expect it to find that. So it's like a 22-minute video, I think. People probably enjoy it. The Patreon feedback seemed to be pretty positive. I think it's a video that, you know, if you're not interested in the humor side of SCPs, you're not going to enjoy it. But maybe, like me, you might like a couple of them. And you'll just have to sit through the other ones. So that's that. No extra video this week for Exploring Series because I was on vacation. Next weekend, I will work on the final D&D video about Sigil and Planescape, things like that. I don't know if that's the best point to end off on, but I want to do a video on it. I don't have much else I'd love to cover. God. Oh, Demon Souls. You cannot skip that cinematic. Cannot skip that cinematic. And as soon as it was done, I get one shot by this thing leading up to the boss. And you have to do it again. And these people continue to get summoned into my world. I really should just go offline. I wonder if we can just do that. I think I'd have to... go with that. Right now. I think Spelljammer would be worth making a video on. Yeah, I mean, there's... Now you can skip because it's not online. There's a lot of videos that would be worth covering. I mean, you can make your entire channel about D&D. Make videos constantly about all sorts of awesome stuff. But I really want to stick to one side series a year. And that's pretty much where we're at. And I'm more interested in Planescape than Spelljammer, because I've never played Spelljammer, whereas I've played, like, Planescape Torment. There. And I'm gonna disappoint a lot of people by ending it, but that's always how it goes. Anytime I've ever ended a series. I'm always prepared for that now. And yeah, like I said, I want to do one side series a year so we get to cover all sorts of interesting stuff. I think the biggest downside of me doing D&D this year is that I don't really like D&D like as a game. I like the lore, I like the monsters, and I like the some of the settings. I like the magic items, and I have fond memories of D&D in the past. But nowadays it's like, you know, I'm one of those people that has moved on to all sorts of other tabletop RPGs other than D&D. And I kind of wish that D&D wasn't the most popular. But Firestorm isn't very good here. Get away, get away. And, you know, I'm going to be covering SCP for a long, long time. It doesn't, you know, that's not going to change. So I like to keep variety up by just switching the other series every year. And so we'll do one more D&D video, then I'm going to do a Q&A, a live Q&A, because I haven't done one of those in a long time. And then I'm going to release in December a audiobook of At the Mountains of Madness. It should be pretty lengthy, and hopefully people like that. I'm doing all these audiobooks so that if YouTube ever falls through, I have a backup career. That I can just get into, I don't know, reading textbooks for the blind or something. How good is the magic in Demon Souls? It's pretty OP. I would say Demon Souls has like some of the most powerful magic in the series. I think for like a magic only playthrough, it's a little bit more restricted than some of the other games as far as like quantity of spell. I mean, technically you can cast unlimited spells because it's sort of like a Final Fantasy MP that can be recovered with items as you go sort of thing. But if you don't want to farm items, then you're likely just going to need to use a weapon. Yeah. Work with Audible reading books. My problem if I were to ever want to or have to become an audio book reader, a narrator, or whatever, is that I really am not comfortable with character voices, and you've probably noticed that if you watch the other channel. I've never done a character voice. If you watch this channel, especially my RPGs, you will hear my character voices, which are not very good. And so That's why I've mostly been sticking to Lovecraft, partly because it's public domain, but also because he doesn't really ever have dialogue. It's all just narration for a lot of his stories, and that makes it easy because I can certainly narrate. We've proven that. Thank goodness. But that's about it. So I mean, there's obviously plenty of things that you can just do audiobooks of that aren't, you know, don't involve characters or character voices or any, you know, it doesn't have to be novels. I wouldn't have to do novels. But that's really just a backup plan for now. I like Lovecraft, and there's no dialogue, so it's easy, and people seem to like it, so it's all good. And it's public domain. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. That's why I also did Sleepy Hollow. There's no dialogue really, and it's public domain. Simple. So that'll be that, and then towards the end of December, we'll be starting up the polls to determine the next side series. Should be fun. I should put up that shield. Yeah, that's where it's at. I think the next video I'm working on, I don't remember the number, but it's a pretty lengthy one with exploration logs and stuff like that, so those are always big hits. Yeah. So this weekend, the last few days, I was on a vacation. It's an annual thing for my group of friends. We head up to a resort. Sort of a water park thing, but they have cabins, and so we get this like big old media cabin that has plenty of bedrooms and a couple big like tables that are perfect for board gaming, and like a movie theater room with a projector and some really nice chairs and things like that. So, you know, we get to play board games, we do some RPG stuff, and we do some video game stuff. Overall, it's always a lot of fun. So, overall, it was a good trip. We had some small hiccups. It can be tough. It can be tough to keep 6 or 7 people entertained. Fuck! Jesus, it's so annoying. Oh my god. Who knew a rat could be so annoying? It's tough to keep 6 or 7 people entertained for 3 days straight, you know, purely on board games. And in the video game world, there's very little on like PC or whatever that can accommodate 6 or 7 people. I mean, try and think of a local, not online, not anything online, local only, 6-player game, video game. So, yep. Mostly the stuff we do in the video game realm is like Jackbox party pack stuff, because you don't even need controllers or anything for that. It's just, you know, you got the screen going, everyone has their phone, and it can go, you know, whole slew of players. So we often do plenty of that. The problem is, Smash Ultimate, that goes up to 6. On what? Well, part of the thing is generally I just bring like a PC and a bunch of, you know, like a bunch of controllers, like Xbox controllers and stuff that we can plug in. Because that, you know, I have all the emulation stuff going on if just 4 of us want to do some things. And then I have some PC stuff for 4, but generally, you know, the one thing that we did find this year that went up to 6, that could accommodate 6 and had controllers involved, was Gang Beasts, which we did spend some time with, and that was fun. Smash Ultimate on Switch. Well, see, I don't have, you know, I'd have to have everyone bring all their Switch controllers and stuff. Which, I guess, it's something to consider. Maybe a Civilization game? Well, that's... How would that work? With one screen? Is that just like everyone takes their turn one at a time? I would probably... I mean... You'd have 5 people that would just wander off within, like, 10 minutes. That's the tricky thing, you know. It really needs to be simultaneous. You know, everyone's just enjoying it, and ideally it's just a lot of fun simultaneous. So Gang Beasts was okay, and Jackbox was okay. The problem with Jackbox is that the more and more we play it, the more and more we just get pissed off at each other for a variety of reasons. And it's just like, as time goes on, different people are like, no, I'm not playing that game. I'm not playing that game. Dude, we're not playing that game ever again, you know? And so it's like the number of Jackbox games we have available that everyone is okay with is dwindling. So next year, hopefully I'll have my new house. And I'm planning to have like a LAN room set up with 6 computers. I'm gonna die. Dead. One computer a turn per player. But again, it's just like, that's just the thing. Like, you have 6 people, mostly drunk. You can't do... Civ will just never work. I'm just telling you, it'll never work. You have 6 alcohol people, you know, in a cabin. It's just not happening. Smash, maybe. Fuck. But I even tried to play Worms. Worms WMD. Later at night with like 4 of us. And literally it just put 2 people to fucking bed. Because turn-based, like, it just cannot. It just cannot. It just cannot. Most of our like energy and waking moments are spent on board games during the day. We just head in, you know, in the evening and at night to do some video game stuff, and that's why we really have to keep the energy up, keep things lively. So Worms was like a death knell. Cards Against you. Well, no, we have no problem with board. We have many board games for 6 people or 7 people, things like that. We have all that. That's never been the issue. I'm specifically talking about the video game stuff, because after 10 hours of board and card games and stuff, you do want to just sit down and maybe play some video games and not have to think quite as much. But yeah, this year and last year, it's been a bit of a struggle for 6. Once a couple people go to bed and we get cut down to 4, then that opens up a whole slew of things. And, you know, a group of us will fire up like N64 stuff and GameCube stuff, and it's always a lot of fun. But yeah, 6-player video game things just don't on one computer. When I get the LAN room going and we have all sorts of LAN things, that'll be fun. That'll be a lot of fun. And I'm planning to specifically construct the LAN room with streaming in mind. Even though I don't do much streaming, I want to just sort of have that in mind. So I want to have all the computers capable of outputting their screens for the purpose of a stream. And then have, like, a big TV setup that can show everyone's screen simultaneously. One of the things that we want to do is have, like, races. You know, we did a Skyrim race a while back. I think the video is on this channel. But we want to do a lot of, like, races and events and stuff like that. So that should be a lot of fun. But, yeah, this year, at the cabin, it was just a little tricky. So, I fucking hate this place, man. Jesus. I should really put that on my bar, but I didn't expect to get poisoned so much. And my other playthrough, like, happened twice. A drunk round of Just Dance. I don't think you're grasping how, like, at the point when we're playing video games, there's very little movement whatsoever. Maybe if we were in our 20s, this was like we're all 21 or something and we're getting drunk at a cabin, then sure, we'd play Just Dance until, you know, 4 or 5 in the morning. But we have people going to bed at like 10. Getting fucking old. You know, the strongest of us can make it till 2 or so, but that's about it. Yeah, but aside from that, we played the real big hit of the... Okay, Boomer. Yeah, I know. I mean, hey, I'm one of the people that can keep it up. I can keep it up pretty late. I'm used to that. But yeah, most of them are just like honking out. Get a little alcohol in them, and it's just. But then they, they get up at like 7 a.m. to go take like a walk, and it's like, what the fuck, man? This is our big trip where we just get fucked up and eat terrible food for 3 days straight and do nothing but play games. No walks. This isn't the time for walks. I hate this fucking place. You're in bed by 9. Yeah, I mean, that's just what it is. I remember, I remember when we were all 21 or so. Those were some late nights. It is what it is. I mean, we still played plenty of games. The big hit of the trip was Crokinole. Crokinole, which I bought like at the start of the pandemic, right when the pandemic hit and we all went into quarantine. I just bought Crokinole, and I had been waiting this entire time to play Crokinole with these people. The only people I've played it with have been my parents, and so it finally got unleashed, and it was just this massive hit. Everyone loved it. It got played constantly, like all day, every day. We had a game of Twilight Imperium going on Friday. And anytime 2 players went into a battle against one another, the other 4 immediately went over to the other table to play Crokinole. So no one bore witness to an entire combat because there was just so much side Crokinole going on. And so I'm really happy that they all loved it. Because it's like, I spent like $300 on that board, and it's been sitting here for 9 months or so, and my parents loved it. My dad especially, it's like the only sort of game that he's ever seemed to enjoy. Aside from Sheep's Head. So, yeah, it was great to finally see it unleashed. And there was talks of doing like a Crokinole tournament, but that was late Saturday night at like 11. So, yeah, that just, that didn't happen. Aside from that, yeah, we played Twilight Imperium. We played, God damn it. We played Cosmic Encounter, of course. We played Battlestar Galactica. It was the weirdest game of Battlestar Galactica in history. We had 6 people, and I was already a little wary of it because I know that the optimal number is 5. Because it was 6. Normally, you have a sympathizer, which is just a bad rule. So we decided to do the no sympathizer variant, which involves having 4 human players, 2 Cylons, but you sort of nerf. You subtract some of the resources from Galactica right off the bat. So it's a little bit of a harder battle for the humans, but there's 4 of them. That turned out to be decisive. Things went bad so quickly right at the start. Even though there were no Cylons at the start, things were so bad that by the time we hit the halfway point and we got the rest of our loyalty cards, it was like, okay, whoever gets handed a Cylon card just is winning the game. I mean, you win. So it was like we're all hoping to become Cylons. And unfortunately, I was not one of them. Even though I played fucking Gaius Baltar as always. God damn it. I had the best chance of becoming that Cylon. The win was not in the cards, and for one of our friends, it was his first game ever of BSG. He had never played the game before, and he had never seen the show before.
Cursed if that witch sent you to...
So, needless to say, he was not impressed.
Please buy me.
He was not impressed by BSG, which is a shame. I mean, it's really one of my favorite games. It's really awesome. I was excited, but that was abysmal. What else did we play? We played some party stuff. We played Crosstalk. We played this game called Decrypto. We played Dixit. We played some Pit, which is always fun. We played we played this Richard the Lionheart game, which was okay. We played Age of Discovery because for some reason they all like it. I really dislike Euro games. It's not my bag whatsoever, where you're just trying to, accumulate points. Any game in which you're trying to accumulate points, I pretty much dislike. And the only reason that I like TI, which does involve accumulating victory points, is because there's so many options there, and it is sort of a social game. It's not a Euro game in any way. So I can just fuck around. I never try to win Twilight Imperium. I just try to have fun, and I usually do. Get fucked. So, yeah, I mean, it was all fine. I don't really go there to have a great time playing board games. That's just like a necessary part of it. Then I'm like, okay, some things I'll enjoy. You know, if we play party games, I usually enjoy that. But that's not why I come. We did do a RPG one-shot though. Ziggy ran a Call of Cthulhu one-shot. It was an interesting one. It was a pre-gen. He did not write this. He had a book full of pre-written one-shots for Call of Cthulhu, and so he picked one that was like, it was 1895 in England, but pretty much immediately we were all sort of swept away into like England in the 1200s, which made it feel a little like D&D in a way. And basically it was this town in the Middle Ages or whatever that was caught in a time loop, and so this time continued to repeat over and over, and all the residents of the town were completely unaware of this time loop. So for our characters, not only were we suddenly thrown into the Middle Ages, but now we also had to deal with this time loop from which we really couldn't escape from. So all of our characters were pre-generated for the one shot, so we just picked them. So my character was this like smug, corrupt customs official that thought he was better than everyone else, and doing any sort of physical labor of any kind was completely beneath him. He's really just not a character you want in your party whatsoever. Which is perfect for me. That's basically what I would have created. if I had the choice. But I thought it was really humorous. Because my character is very intelligent. But he was not, you know... I think the other sort of... That it's a tricky thing in RPGs. Especially something like that, where obviously you know out of game, okay, we've been thrown back into the past somehow, and we're stuck in the Middle Ages. We're in a time loop. It's like Groundhog Day. We need to break the time loop somehow, and we need to piece this together. I mean, that's what you as a character know. But, you know, there's a role-playing aspect here. That's what we're about. So your character wouldn't piece all that together. Your character from 1895 doesn't know what fucking Groundhog Day is. You know, how would he really know what a time loop is or would be like until it's become painfully clear? So great. So as we continued to go on and tried to piece this together, originally, the town that we had come from before we got thrown away in England was Dunwich. Or Dunwich. Ziggy said Dunwich. I'm pretty sure it's Dunwich, but I could be wrong. It's not Greenwich. And so... Then when we got sent into the time loop in the Middle Ages, the village that we were at then was also Dunwich. And so I was like, well, clearly this is not Dunwich. This must be some small hamlet on the outskirts of Dunwich that just refers to itself in that way. But then, when it became clear, you know, we started asking people what year it was, my character changed his mind. It's like, okay, this is one of those sort of historical revival reenactment kind of scenarios, where these people have sort of created this scenario for their little town here, where they believe they are living in or they pretend that it is the year 1257 or whatever, you know, dead, which I thought was pretty humorous. And, you know, we were sort of running with that angle. I mean, again, we as players know better. But it's just funny to have these characters think that way. As my character sort of started to, like, humor these locals. We're like, yes, hail and well met. I will have a mug of mead. So that was good. But a couple other players were like, we need to just fucking solve this time loop. And it's like, ugh. I mean, believe me, I more than many other people play RPGs in order to solve problems and to win in some sort of sense, I suppose. But for a Call of Cthulhu one-shot, winning should not be your goal. Because, let's be honest, the chances of you winning are pretty slim, or should be slim. So I just like to play the character. I mean, again, I don't roleplay much at all in RPGs, but Call of Cthulhu one-shots is where I do the roleplay. So I did not ever really... It took me a long time to buy into any sort of time loop theory. Basically, the time loop had to happen twice before my character was like, all right, there might be something to this. But then, by that point, the way that I played it was that my character was so just fucking sick and tired of this shit. He was just exasperated. And he just wanted to go home to London and be done with this. So really, I made no effort ever to learn anything about the time loop, anything of what was going on here, you know, why we arrived here, how to stop it, anything. I was just like, I'm going to go steal a horse, and I'm just going to ride to London and be done with it. Now, obviously, as a player, I did not have any inkling that this was going to work. You know, I'd probably just reach a point, and then I would, like, circle back, and I'd be back here anyways. And then, you know, we'd go from there. But I had another, you know, one of my friends went along with me, and his character was thinking the same thing. So we ended up stealing some horses from the church. Our character, you know, I had no riding ability whatsoever, so I took a tumble. But we got on those horses. We rode hard. And eventually we reached a point where basically the world just fell away. It just, like, disintegrated into blackness in front of us. And we had, like, this feeling that there was something in this blackness that was watching us. And I'm like, all right, this is it. We have to break through this barrier, and once we do, we'll be out of here. I know it. You just gotta believe. He was not as convinced, but I went first and he followed. So, you know, I convinced him that my convictions were pure. They could not be wavered. And so basically what followed was like a series of pretty difficult rolls, as we sort of mentally and spiritually fought through this barrier. But funnily enough, we made it. We made it out. We broke through, and we ended up in England. In the modern, it was actually 50 years had passed in the present day. So we had skipped 50 years, and we were both like 20 years older. So not perfect. I would rate it 1 out of 10 as an experience for my corrupt customs official. He wouldn't do it again. But we were back home safe, and all was well. And at that point, the two of us had basically won. I mean, it was over for us. The rest were all still back in the time loop. So the two of us went and played Crokinole for a while while they were trying to solve the time loop, which they eventually did. There was a witch involved that had, like, cast a curse. She was assisted by some, like, priests of the old ones that were living in the woods. And they, like, rescued the witch, and she broke the curse, and they took her back to the present day with them or something. I don't know. I was playing Crokinole. I can't really tell you what happened. But overall, we had fun. I mean, I had fun, even though obviously I didn't participate in, like, half of what was going on. I still had a good experience. The people that did solve everything had a good experience. So overall, I think it was all good. Overall, I think it was all good. And I think, you know, I would do another one shot like that. That was fun. I think as, like, a system for horror one-shots, I kind of prefer Dread with the Jenga Tower over to Call of Cthulhu. Call of Cthulhu is a good system, but dice rolls and skill checks in a horror one-shot are just kind of annoying compared to the Jenga Tower and its, like, building suspense, and being able to really, like, push to be able to do something, but then, you know, that inevitably makes everything worse down the line. I like that. So, and it keeps everything simple. You don't have to have character sheets. You don't have to keep track of HP and, you know, all that sort of stuff. It's just, it's more narrative focused. I kind of like that. Anyways, that's about it, really. It was a good trip. Like I said, we all had a lot of fun, although there were some hiccups. And it might be our last one at the resort, because next year we'll just do it at my house. But, yeah, it was good stuff. I am I'm rested, I suppose. I mean, it's like any vacation. You sort of come back more tired than when you left. But I've had my vacation, so it's time to get back to work. We've got more Demon Souls remake this week, more Skyrim stuff this week, more Final Fantasy 14, variety stream on Wednesday of Bug Snacks, Two Brothers Play, of course, and that should pretty much be that for this week. Check out the Joke SCPs video tomorrow if that's your bag. And that's pretty much it. Good part is you enjoyed the time with your friends. That's right. That's right. I mean, there are moments you spend 3 days in a cabin with some guys. There's going to be some tense moments. Even if you're all good friends and everything's amicable, when you're playing competitive stuff or whatever, tensions can run high. But overall, it was fun. We had some good food and drinks and memories, so it's all good. Alrighty then. We'll leave it off there. My name is Mangg. This has been Hanging with Mangg. See you fine folks next week.